Okay, welcome to this tutorial on how to use the 6-week Renewing the Mind and Health Journal. This is the same whether you have the 6-week or the 12-week. This will be exactly the same in each journal. We use these journals currently for the study of Renewing the Mind 101, but we also are using this one now for Taste for Truth also. So I'm going to guide you through how to exactly use the journal. So this is what your front cover should look like. And as we go through, there's a little introduction here about the journal. And we've got how to renew your mind, a little description here. There. And then here it does give a explanation of each part of the journal and how to use it. So definitely please read this introduction if you haven't at this point. In the journal includes the Renewing of the Mind tracker, it includes the Renewing of the Mind planner, it includes journal pages, weekly goal reflections, and also weight loss forms, which is the weight loss tracker, the meal planner, measurements, daily water, food, and exercise diary, and boundaries renewing the mind planner. So I'm going to show you how these work. So when you go to the first section of your journal, it's going to have this going for the goals section. And this is just where you're going to be thinking about the goals God has for you during this renewal of the mind time. And we're going to write them in these boxes. So if you're doing a weight loss, one of our programs like Taste for Truth, then what we do in here is you might want to, as an example, right under my Renewing the Mind goal, is if your goal is to overcome emotional eating, okay, or at least make really good headway in overcoming that. And so what you would do is you would write your example here. I'll achieve this by, this is a way you would explain how you're actually going to do that. So that might be completing the Taste for Truth study. It might be completing Renewing of the Mind 101 by myself. It may be completing our Tapestry of Beauty Renewing of the Mind challenges. Whichever way you're going to try and achieve that goal, you could write that here. By all means, you could write more than one. Okay, it may be also by completing this journal every day. Okay, so in here, this next box down here is going to ask you that I might need a little help with. So you may say, well, I might need help with greater accountability. So you may look for an accountability partner or sign up for one of the small groups. Or you may need to pray and just trust God more than you have maybe previously about his strategy of how you're going to reach your goals. And I know I can complete this by this date. Now, if you're doing one of our studies, we have an end date, and so you could put that in there. Or you could say that, you know, initially I have 3 dates. I want to um, complete this, start off this in these first 2 weeks or 6 weeks, and then after that, I want to be completely have this area as much as possible resolved and dealt with in, say, another 6 weeks. So it's up to you how long you want to put that in there. Okay, so here is your boundaries. So as I said, this is a food journal, food and health and renewing the mind journal. So if you have boundaries, then you can write these in here. For instance, mine are to eat the foods that God has created in foods in its most natural state. So I may put that in there. My exercise goals or boundaries are to train to get into hiking. So that might be include walking or running in boundaries in here. And here, these two boxes to the left and right is why I love my food boundaries and why I love my exercise boundaries. So you're going to write in there all the positives about why the food boundaries are good for you, and also the benefits of the exercise boundaries that you've set for yourself as well. So for me, why I really do love the food boundaries is because number one, they've been set by God for me. Number two, they nourish my body in a great way. Number three, there isn't as many restrictions. I don't have to count calories. I don't have to, you know, things like that. And then my exercise boundaries is because I want to get more into being in the outdoors, and I love being in the outdoors. So that, me training and getting my endurance up and things like that is going to help me prepare to train for that. So these are different things you can put in there, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then here, this weight loss tracker is pretty self-explanatory, but advise to renew your mind before and after using the scales. Um, Weighing yourself is completely optional. You don't have to, but if you choose to, then you would weigh yourself on the first day, put in what you weigh. As this is the first weight that you're putting in, you would just keep this as a 0, okay? And total loss would be 0 here. But let's say, for instance, that today I weighed 14 stone, or if you're in America, that's maybe like 100, I don't know, 180 pounds. Let's just say 180 pounds. And so that's where I've started. But let's say that next week I weigh myself and I'm 175 pounds. That means I've had a result of -5 because I've lost 5. Sorry, I put 5 pounds here because I've lost 5 pounds, and the total loss, I would put the -5 here. So whichever way, there's different ways in which you can do it. If you gain the next week, then obviously you would potentially put a plus. If you've maintained, you just put a line through it. So it's up to you. But as you can also put here what your start weight is and your goal weight. And here I've given more than 6 weeks. I've given 12 because some people do weigh themselves more than once a week. And so I wanted to just give that extra space for you to put that in there. Okay. Right. And then here is also quite self-explanatory, but it's the body measurements. You're going to put in the date you started, and there's your chest measurements, waist, hips, arms, and your current dress size. Again, this is completely optional, but for some people, they prefer to keep body measurements than scales, or even both. And sometimes your body measurements can go up or down, and the scales cannot always reflect what's going on. So this is also a good way to be accountable. Next page. Okay, so each week there is a scripture for you, and this is week 1. Okay, that's Mark 9:23. Okay, so at the beginning of each week, there's a series of worksheets for you to just help you stay accountable for that week. So this is the weekly schedule planner, and you can use this. It's really open to you what you want to put in there, but I'll give some examples of what I use. So I would put the month of January. I'd put the dates. So I'd put, you know, say it was January 1st to January 6th, or January 7th, and so I know which week and the dates to reflect and look back on what I was doing. So I may, in each day of the week, if I'm doing a Taste for Truth study, I might put that I'm going to complete day 1 here, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Maybe I know I'm definitely not going to be able to do anything on Friday. So I might then say I'm going to do day 5 and day 6. Or if you're not doing Taste for Truth and you're doing another type of Renewing the Mind program that we do, let's say that you're doing Renewing the Mind 101 and you are planning to do scripture journaling on Mondays, you can put that in there. If on Tuesday you're choosing to do another set of scripture journaling, that's fine. Wednesday, it may be just meditating on scripture. On Thursday, it may be reading affirmations and scripture cards. So these are things that you can apply each day. And I find that if you have a plan, then you'll definitely know exactly what you're doing. There'll be no guessing each day. You know exactly what you're going to do. Now, also what you can put in here is you can put in your exercise plan that you may have. You may decide that on Monday you're going to walk for half an hour. You may decide on Tuesday you're going to do some Pilates, or you might do a workout video at home. You could put these in as well. I recommend that. And then also for me, to keep me coming back to using the planner and the journal, I have started putting in personal things that I have to do. So say if I'm teaching a Zoom class on Tuesdays, I'll put that in there. If I've got a meeting with someone, I'll put that in there. If I got an appointment that I have to go to, I've started putting these in here as well, just so that I have everything in one place. And also you can write notes here as well of anything that you need to remember for your schedule planner for the week. Some people like to put their meals in there, but I'm going to show you meals for the week, and that's fine, but we already have a page for that, which I'll show you in a little while. So this is the weekly tracker, which I tend to get a lot of questions about. So let's focus on the first top half over here. So it says quiet time of the Lord. So I'm presuming that those who are using this are Christians. So we would know that quiet time of the Lord is prayer. It may be for you reading the word, worshipping. Once you do that, say on a Monday, you would tick that box there. Okay, and every day during the week that you do that, you would tick each box along here until it goes from Monday right through to Sunday. Now, RTM Daily Plan is the Renewing of the Mind daily plan that you have chosen to do to help you renew your mind each day to get through to the goals that we set at the beginning of the journal. So if you're doing Renewing of the Mind 101, by myself, in that book, it's literally laid out a Renewing of the Mind daily plan for you every day. So there's nothing that you have to think about in that aspect. So you would just tick off the box once you've completed that day. Now, you may have another kind of plan that you've brought together to help you renew your mind, and whatever that is fine. You could tick that in there too. If you're doing Taste for Truth, then your Renew the Mind daily plan might be the assignments on each day of the book. I wouldn't say doing the actual studies renewing your mind, but possibly if there's an assignment for that day, then you may want to tick that. If you're doing some of our advanced challenges, you could still have a Renew the Mind daily plan, and you could have advanced challenges written here, and every time you do them, again, you can tick the boxes along here. I like to put in here things like, did I have my supplements? Any other thing here that I'm trying to keep track of. It may even be my exercise that I may write. Did I do my steps, or did I do some form of exercise in here as well? I have a small group that I lead, and so did I check in with my small group? And so you could put whatever you want to put here, and then every day you do it, you tick off. If you didn't do it, you can just leave it blank. And whatever way you want to keep this tracker is up to you. Okay, so also here we've got, in this second half of the worksheet, is faith action. So I've written here, renew your mind several times a day for a minimum of 1 minute. It is proven to accelerate and consolidate the truths of God in us. Write your chosen faith action for the day to the left and tick the boxes to the right each day the number of times you complete your faith actions. Now, faith actions is any activity that you're going to do throughout the day to help you renew your mind. So let's say I am trying to renew my mind about an area to do with food or health. I may have a scripture on a scripture card that I will use, and I may plan to take 1 minute out of my day to read that scripture card. And every time I do it, I will tick off each box. So for instance, one of the scriptures could be that we know that God's will is for us to prosper in health as our soul prospers. Okay, so every time I might quote that verse or meditate on that verse, I'm going to tick each box. Faith actions is a more proactive way to renew your mind rather than just doing it once a day. The more that you do it, the more that your mind is going to be renewed a little bit quicker than say if you just did it once a day. But if you're a beginner, then that's absolutely fine. Now what I do here is there are several lines here for each day of the week. So what I would do is I might say, well, this first day I'm going to use my scripture cards. If you're using and affirmations. I have affirmations audio. You may decide that you're going to listen to that 7 times a day or 3 times a day, and you can tick that off. If you have you're using a book that we sometimes use for Taste of Truth called I Deserve a Donut, you may decide that every time you read over the scriptures or do a set of questions, you're going to tick that off. So you could plan out your week, what you're going to do, or you could just take it day by day. So that's an option as well. Okay, so that's the weekly tracker. And here is the weekly meal plan. So I described earlier that while you could put it in your weekly planner, it's actually, I've got a space here for you to write in what you plan to eat each day. So Monday goes right through to Sunday, right? Plan what you're going to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your snacks, and you can put that in there. You could take a picture of it and print it out and stick it on your fridge, whichever way you want to use it, so that you can see exactly what you have planned. Okay, and for those who've been doing planning for a while, we know that it's really beneficial to do that. So right, so next. So on each single day, there is a journal entry, and it says describe how your day has been, choose you've learned, and consider writing a scripture prayer to the Lord. So here's a page, full A4 page for you to journal out to the Lord. You may even want to answer questions that have come up in your Renewing the Mind, whichever study guide or book you're using. This could be a space for answering those questions in here as well. But this is like a document. You want this to be a document and an inventory of how you've done each day as you go along. And there's a date for you as well, so you can see where you're up to. And after each journal entry, there's this renew, eat, pray, exercise, repeat page. And this is to give you a tracker specifically for each day. So what I do here is, even though I had my menu plan page, I like to put here exactly what I did eat. So what did I have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? So I can actually, I mean, if you're counting calories, then you may want to put the calories here as well. That's an option too. Normally by the time of the end of the day, I've received kind of like a word for that day, a theme that God's tried to show me. And so I will write a little statement of that here. Here to the right, you can track water. There's 8 circles representing 8 glasses of water, which is shown to be the best for optimum health. So every time you drink water, you might decide to tick off these boxes. And here is the fitness or steps section. So if you had a target of doing 30 minutes of walking today, I would write that here. And then if I did it, I would tick and I'd write how many minutes I did. If you count steps on your Fitbit or whichever exercise tracker you use, you may have a target of, say, 5,000 steps. And did you achieve it? And you could just put a tick. Here is, at the end of the day, you want to have a look at, was I on plan or was I off plan for the day? And that's something that you can also write on plan or not. Any action points for the next day is something good to put in here. Any notes, you can put that here. And here is just for you to keep track of things that you need to that day as well. What are your priorities for today? You may be like, you know what, I've been doing really well with my meals, but my water is lacking. So my priorities for today is to really get my water my water intake up. It may be that I need to increase my steps. Do you have any appointments? If you've booked an exercise, you could put this here just to remind you. It's a bit easier to write it here than keep going back to the first page of the week. You can just allocate exactly what you've got coming up. By all means, write any appointments or to-dos that you have that are also non-related to this, and you can put anything that you want in there, okay? And then this theme goes exactly through, that's the second day. It goes exactly through every day, therefore, after that, just repeating the journal entry and your renew, eat, pray, exercise, and repeat. When you get to the end of a week, which we should be shortly there soon, it's going to ask you to give an overview of how your week went. And this is really, really good thing to do. So we want to look back over everything we've done and go, is it, what have I, how close am I to my goal, things like that. So here it's the weekly goal reflection page. This is the end of each week. Did you achieve any goals this week? You may have said, well, you know, I want to increase my water intake this week. Did you achieve it that week? Testimony time. Did you renew your mind when you didn't feel like it? Did you renew your mind instead of eating something or doing something that you didn't want to do, that you know that you shouldn't do? These are things that you can put in. And then this is goals for next week. So when you get to the end of like week 2, you can compare the goals that you put here and did you achieve them in the following week. So that's something as well you can do. And at the end of the journal, there is also a few more pages that's a little bit more space for you to write in about how you've done over the 6 weeks or 12 weeks, depending on what journal you're using. So I hope that that's been really, really helpful. And as I said, once we finish that, it just takes us right next week too, and it starts all over again. So I hope that that's been helpful for you to see how to use it. And if you've got any questions, then feel free to email me at sophia@tapestryofbeautyministries.com, and I'm happy to answer any further questions, or wherever this is posted, feel free to write in the comments of any questions that you may have. Okay, I hope you have a great renewing of the mind time and journey, and as I said, here to help if you have any further questions. Okay, God bless, bye.